morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, months I've been trying. Months, months, months. Did I actually hit 400 subs? Did YouTube not run their cycle last night and flush people out? I'm confused. Hey, good morning, Mr. Mark. How you doing today, buddy? Uh, yeah, I'm a little shocked. It might have been NMLB gaming that caused the 400. I don't know. He's been he's been experimenting and screwing around with some editing programs, and doing a shout out to try and help me get to 400. But he hasn't had a lot of views, so something's going on somewhere. I think YouTube screwed up. I think they didn't run their cycle last night. Yeah, buddy, I was starting to wonder where you disappeared to. Oh, now I did the heat video yesterday. Um, and I didn't I skipped over a bunch of stuff. People are going to be racing out to their gardens, um, and watering, unless especially like with their tomatoes, because I've mastered that. Um, you don't want to get the leaves wet. You don't want to get the plants wet. You want to go directly to the roots, which is another reason for mulching your beds or having ground cover, is to keep a lot of that microbial life from splashing up on your tomato plants, because it causes problems. But we've got all this heat right now, and everybody's going to be going nuts. Oh my God, I got to water. Can't have end rot, can't have this, can't have that. Da 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 da. Again, it's a grow at night plant. Everybody, water at night. Don't water in the sunlight. Don't water before that sun comes up unless you are sure that water is going to be gone. Especially if you get the leaves wet. Big, big, big problem. Hey, yeah, I know. I'm 400 subs. What the? I think the algorithm didn't catch up last night or didn't run last night. So that probably won't stick. I'll be back down to 380 here in no time. But uh, salicylic acid. A lot of you are going to be like scratching your heads, going, "What the? What are you talking about?" Yeah, okay. Tomatoes, tomato plants in general, when they go into stress, they produce salicylic acid. Um, it has a multitude of side effects. It causes the tomato plants, all of them. So it's not specific to the type of tomato plant. All of them produce salicylic acid, and it causes it to go into higher flowering, higher fruiting, and get this, increases its flavor. Now, I know I just said don't water your tomato plant itself, water the root, get the water on the ground. Drip is best to saturate the soil. You want a deep soaking, but but salicylic acid. Don't get crazy. Uh, Once or twice throughout the season, add salicylic acid. I know you're sitting back going, wait, what are you talking about? Dude, how do you add, if this is a defensive thing for a tomato plant, how do you add it to a tomato plant? Um, well, you know how the guide, if you don't have it, get it. Links are below. the guide talks about a lot of home remedies, a lot of these things we already have at home. Um, it's pretty important that you have bags of Epsom salt, not the sodium, not the iodine. We're not talking table salts. We're talking Epsom salt. Really, really good for roots. Really, really, really good. But this one I didn't go into. You could add this to the book, and all them blank pages. You can add this one to the book. This one's specifically tomatoes, though. Salicylic acid. You're sitting back going, okay, spill it. Give me the information. Aspirin. Aspirin. Take some aspirin, some water, and a grinder. Mix it up or crush the aspirin, whatever, as fine as you can possibly get it. Put it in a misting bottle and mist down your tomato plants. Just a mist. We're not talking about saturating it, just a mist. Mist your tomato plants. It's an artificial telling the plant it's under attack. It'll cause it to fruit more, flavor more, flower more, and go into defensive mode. That's why I say don't do this on a regular basis. If you were really just experimental and you had the time, maybe once a week to just experiment with it and see what happens, I would do it with an indeterminate versus a determinate. And I know there's some hybrids there, like beefsteak. It is and it isn't an indeterminate. It is and it isn't. Okay. Determinate meaning that it's a specific plant that will only go to a certain size, only produce so much fruit. It's pretty much a weird hybrid. I don't want to call it a GMO. It's not. Okay. But yeah, cause your tomato plant. I say twice a year. Cause your tomato plant to go into protective mode as you're going into your flowers. And there's this thing about keeping it above the soil so much. Well, if you really do the research and you really look into a tomato plant, all those hairs, all those hair follicles, those are rooters. This thing is meant to be a vine, continually rooted. Because that's what it actually is in the wild. It's just a vine running across the ground, rooted all over the place. There's a bunch of theories what you can do there. But so as you're starting to go into flower mode, make it think it's under attack. You'll get more flowers. Pinch off as you will, because you really don't want this monster, especially if you're training it and you're stringing it or trellising it or whatever. Pinch off the little suckers, as we call them here in Ohio. California, they call it the armpit growths. Snap those off, whatever. But yeah, salicylic acid, a little bit of aspirin goes a long way into tricking your plant into doing something. So when you're going into flowers, a little bit of salicylic acid. And when you're in fruit, a little more. Hey, good morning, Elegant. Talking about aspirin, and because I didn't cover it yesterday in the heat part of the understanding, and I should go into the stress levels on all these other plants, but tomatoes is one of my hardcores. It's one of my loves. Talking about the aspirin mist, the salicylic acid trick. to cause it to go into defense mode, get the higher flavors, get the higher flowers. Um, and I'm shocked. I got over 400. I had to double check with 3 different sources, 3 different computers. I'm still. I don't think the algorithm ran last night, so I'll probably be back down to like 380 here shortly. But yeah, I hit it. I'm still in shock. I'm still stunned. It won't hold. I'm pretty sure of it. It won't hold. But I'm starting to find out I've got a whole lot more viewers than I know. I'm starting to wonder whether the unregistered, the non-YouTubers, you're registered as Elegant Homestead, I'm registered as the Green Wizard, and so on and so on and so on. My Family Gardener. But if you're not registered and you're just a viewer, like off a TV, you can subscribe to somebody and it'll be somebody that you get constant notices from, but it never registers. I'm wondering if their views even show. Because I've talked to some people that I know aren't registered, that have watched my videos. So I'm a little confused because I'm not seeing that many views, but at the same time, is the algorithm counting it? Does the algorithm not count it? Something's not quite. Yeah. Sporadic is one way of putting it. Yeah. Depending on which one you're talking about. The one they need to concentrate on is their own troll policies. Excessive abuse by a single IP. That's well, we all have our arguments there. You can, well, I just better off to let it go. But yeah, during all this heat, everybody, all this, everybody's scrambling to water. Don't water during the day. Don't do it. Don't do it. A lot of you are convinced that plants only grow during the day. Okay, well then water in the morning before the sun gets to the water. And don't leave water on your leaves. Get it into the soil where the roots are in the trust me. You'll cause yourself a whole bunch of problems if you go the other way. Hey, Venom, what's going on? No, actually, that is me playing a Indian flute. I do have the Chinese flute, the 12 note. I'm learning how to play it. Hey, good morning, Grizz. Oh, yeah, she's going to be, like I said, make sure you got whole milk around. Again, and that's another one of those plants. Don't water it during the day because you'll cause yourself more problems than you want. But salicylic acid for your tomatoes, everybody. Just a mister. Just a mister. Just. But yeah, I got the Oriental flute. I couldn't order a color for the 12 note. It's the same one. Well, it's a theory. It's a theory because it sounds so close to the Irish tin flute. That it's the flute that was used for Lord of the Rings, Hobbit theme song, whatever you want to call it. I do have one. I ordered it in. I'm learning how to play it because I can't just keep using this same soundtrack. Somebody else is working on another one for me, a little more Indian based, a little more upbeat. But yeah, it's everybody hates dead spots, and so many creators are scrambling to have their script together or have their what have you together. And I pause not for dramatic effect, but to make sure I'm attempting to use the right words when I'm describing something, especially in gardening lingo. So it's just more convenient to have a track running in the background of something I've done, so it's not copyright. And I want to add to that bank. I want to add to that battery of soundtracks. Um, the one thing that makes my channel just a little bit different than everybody else's. Not only am I, a book channel about yard care, selling a book. There's a bunch of information here, and a lot of times there's this pause. There's this, and what I find and what I hear from a lot of people is they turn it on and they listen and they wander off and they just leave it playing, or they're canning and they have it playing in the background and they're just listening in. And I'm not one of those channels that will sit here and continually read the text that's going on in chat so I don't drift off. I answer questions as I'm going, and I try not to ignore people, but I never have enough viewers to even worry about that. Chat never goes by fast enough to bother. But who wants to be off doing this, that, or the other, kitchen work or gardening work or this, that, and have dead silence because I paused on something or I wasn't sure or I went and got a cup of coffee. Good morning, Casey. How you doing, sweetheart? How'd you lose your wrench? What the? I swear you had a wrench. I can fix that. Yeah, well, look, and I went into this explanation once before, and I really had to think about it. A lot of these chemicals are oil based. They're derivatives of oil. Yes, they have their advantages. Yes, they work in some instances, and they work on specific things in certain ways. People are attacking weeds though for no reason, so you're using a spray that you shouldn't use. Mother Nature's there to do something specific. But there's this let's say 1 or 2% of that derivative that never gets absorbed, that never becomes anything, that just sits there in the soil. All right. So I want you to think about it like two little pieces of note paper. Okay. One, you're using an all natural, say a pencil or something. Just a little bit of lead, what have you. Just so you scratch lines on it. Same way that you would apply your chemical one direction across the property, and then the next time you come along, you go the opposite direction across the property. In some cases, when you're trying to amp things up, get your higher iron and get your blaster green because there's an event coming or whatever, you might go both directions. Well, being that you're using an oil derivative that may not completely saturate, that may just sit there. Think about it like a crayon. Crayon is the same difference. So go one direction with a crayon on one piece of paper and go one direction with, and then mix that up. Now you're talking 4 times a year, and a percentage doesn't get used. It just sits in the soil, working against the food web. Well, how many directions do you need to go, and how many times do you need to go over that property, just like with a crayon, before water will no longer soak into that piece of paper? That's kind of what you're doing when you're using an oil derivative. You saturate it one direction, 1% doesn't soak. It just sits there forever. You saturate it the other direction, 1% doesn't soak. Yet with over here with a pencil on the other piece of paper, water continually soaks right through the graphite, right through the carbon. No problem. That's my issue. We have this percentage of a chemical that's always sitting there that never saturates, that may not even be that chemical. It's something else sitting in the soil. When you wax something like a car, water doesn't soak in. That's what happens to the food web. Water can't soak in. There's so much of this stuff on it, so much of this stuff on the soil. Water doesn't soak in. We end up with these flooding conditions. We end up with, oh my God, I can't get any water in my soil. Oh my God, I don't. That's my issue with chemicals. Yeah, they go and amp these things up and super this and super that and force it to saturate into the plants. But what's it doing to the food web? The very beginning, the very, very, very beginning of everything, the food web. When you eliminate the food web or you stop the food web, what happens up the chain? That's our food chain. That's all the way back up to us. What happens? Right, Grizz. But what we're talking about, when watering during the day, okay, is we're not talking about during the rainstorm. We're talking about when the sun's blazing, everybody's out there soaking everything in the sunlight. It's like you're providing the magnifying glass to burn the plants and hurt the plants and hurt what have you. That's my issue. That's why I advise in the shade at night as the sun's going down, so that you eliminate that possibility of putting all those little magnifying glasses um, all over everything, because that's what you're doing when you leave the water droplets. If you leave it saturate overnight, different scenario. That's just like increasing the surfactancy of all your plants by adding just a drop or two of dish soap to eliminate the waxing, which is why I talk about the wash. But you eliminate the waxing, open things up, and things soak in better. Okay. And then you give it the overnight, yeah, exactly. You give it the overnight for the evaporation to happen. Either it's going to soak into the soil or it's going to naturally evaporate. During a rainstorm, you don't have sunlight. You got clouds everywhere. Now, yeah, there are those random clouds that'll do a mist and what have you. Okay. But then your gardeners out there dealing with these issues. And that's why I say you can trick your tomato plants into thinking they're going into defensive mode with just a hint of salicylic acid. You go in there, with a little bit of aspirin. Now, some people bury aspirin with their tomato, half an aspirin or whatever, and it causes the same difference over time. But when it's flowering, salicylic acid, make it think it's under attack. And when it's fruiting, salicylic acid, it'll enhance more. You'll get more flowers. You'll also get more fruit. Same difference. The fruit is going to pick up more flavor because the plant goes into defensive mode. My issue would be who's consuming the fruits as to what kind of aspirin you're using. Because children's aspirin will do exactly the same thing as standard adults aspirin. but it's not as dangerous. So neem oil is mostly for bugs. Fungus is not necessarily a bug. I would just use milk. If I saw a fungus, I would use milk. But a lot of funguses are caused by the soil. Things in the soil, I'm sorry, from water splashing up on your plants. Who was it? California Gardener, I think. California. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Only take a second. California Gardener TV. It's a channel. He covers that. So you might actually be causing. You might actually be causing some of the funguses. Not all. Don't. I mean, I'm not. There's thousands of possibilities. But if you're getting splash from your soil because it has nothing covering it, like Grizz and I had talked on his challenge video, and if you guys haven't seen it, go jump in on this. Grizz is putting the system to the test in his yard. But yeah, there's thousands of different possibilities. Cover your soil. You've got to have an armor over it. You've got to. I don't care if you just rip up a bunch of hay and put it around the base and then water through the hay. Anything to keep from splashing potential toxins or potential what have yous up on the plants. Because some people get really carried away when they water, and they'll get in there with a blasting hose and I got to get a gallon down on this plant in 30 seconds or less. And they're, pouring away 90 psi. Everything's going in the air. And, well, then they cause their own problems. Don't realize they're washing some of these diseases and some of these funguses and what have you that should be in the soil, that exist in the soil, that are perfect conditions for the soil, directly onto the plant. That's not all. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that's the absolute, but it's one of them things you got to watch. Oh, I'm not. I mean, look, there are varying conditions all over the world. My world and my concentration is the soil conditions and the food web. Right. Well, yeah, because if it evaporates off the plants throughout the day or throughout the morning, you should be okay. Some people don't think on that level. They it's not a, oh my God, I got to get up and get my morning cup of coffee, and sometime today I'm going to go water, instead of, oh my God, I'm up. Let me go turn the water on before the sun gets here. Let me get the water down and get that stuff put away as I'm drinking a cup of coffee, long as it, and they don't think about, okay, well, an inch of water or this or that, and and by pointing them different directions and trying to get them out of the lazy mindset of let's just water anytime during the day, just like car spots. Wash your car in the shade so you don't get the spots. That's not the 100% true answer, but it doesn't evaporate as quickly either. Leaving spots. These same spots can cause funguses on a lot of the plants. There's variables. We play the variables. With our conditions right now, come on. The sun hadn't even come up yet, and we're already at 78 degrees outside. Um, Everything's evaporating faster than we can put it down. Um, God, this heat. This heat. And I'm not going to beat you guys up by repeating yesterday's video about the heat, but man, people don't understand. Well, when you pave over everything, when I almost wish I could coin a new term, the clayification of things. It's like paving over everything. You remove life, you remove nature from an area, and you stop it. And then the next thing you know, you've got this gigantic clay bed that works the same way as cement, and it just radiates heat, and it actually gets hotter than it is outside. Your overall temperature, they used to call it mercury reading. Mercury is toxic, so we're not allowed to have mercury measurements, but we're going to spray it in the air and on everybody. I'm not going to go there, but I'm close enough. Yeah, so your reading is 78 standing in the sun, blah blah blah, per the temperature gauge. In the shade, it's 2 degrees less. But your pavement and your cars and the inside of your cars are going well over that. Way over that. Well, what happens on clay bed does exactly the same thing. It just heats up, and it'll get hotter than it is outside. So the more chemicals you use, the more clay we have, the more heat radiate. Get it? Wow, 90 already, Casey? Jeez. But I like tropics. I like tropical. I mean, I prefer that over air conditioning any day of the week. I'll take the heat. Doesn't mean I want to go out and crawl on somebody's roof and do a shingling job in this direct sunlight and heat. But yeah, I much give me the heat. There's a new device, and it's an enhancement on your air conditioning. I have to wonder, depending on the age of your device, whether this will work. It's solar powered, if I saw it correctly. It's a mister that goes on 3 sides or all 4 sides, depending on how it's set up and where your unit is, that will mist down over your grates while the fan's running and cause it to cool quicker and reduce the overall cost. Now, I didn't see a water source on this. It's on Amazon. AC Mister, I think, is what it was called. It will cause better air conditioning, less work, but my concern would be the amount of water getting down there in the bottom. I don't think it's evaporating fast enough. So you're going to have water coming down through those coils, up into the motors, down into the compressor. You could shorten the actual thing's life, but at the same time, if you can reduce your bill, these giant companies like Allstate has this huge air handling system where they just cascade water over these vents, draw that cool air in with high moisture content, and cool their houses off. So you're kind of, in theory, doing the same principle with this device. Great idea. Great idea. Tesla's company. Now, I haven't heard anything lately. I haven't looked in the last month, but Tesla was working on two different types of solar panels for the top of the house. One is shingles. What do they call the other one in California? The curved tiles. Well, whatever. But these things are all plugged in together to each other, so your whole house is shingled in solar panels, or it's tiled with solar panels. Great, great idea. I mean, the sun's constantly moving throughout the season, different areas for different locations throughout. It's great idea. Great idea. Versus putting an actual solar panel up there. And they're going through all the testing and what have you. It's on a couple of houses already. My understanding is it's a very, very, very long waiting list to get a hold of these things. Spanish tile, thank you. Very long list to get your hands on installers to do this. The guy that was on the list got called by the company, Tesla itself. They said, we've got guys scheduled. We'll be there in 2 days. Last time he had checked the list, it was over a year's wait. They showed up with like 35 people, video cameras, the whole 9 yards, just to shingle the man's roof. They're still testing everything. They're still, he's still paid full price, but he's apparently one of the test grounds for his property to run these shingles. Phenomenal idea. There was a kid over in New York that was working with a 3-dimensional. It's a new design in solar panel. It's a 3-dimensional pane receiver within the panel, and it was producing higher yields. They were looking at a production cycle machine here in Ohio to do the same thing in a shingle. GE bought them out, supposedly moved everything to California, and disappeared. So thank you, GE, for burying future technology, because they're buying up everything and making it all go away. Well, the thing is, Elegant, I'd like to actually hear it from her. I did see the lighting part of it. Did she, did she use every step, or did she only use parts of it? That's the question. Because when you go full bore, you're still cutting grass every 3 days just to keep up. I don't care where you live. But again, depending on the scale of the yard, how much you use, what you did, what process you stepped through, she may only have to treat the yard once, 1 year, and then she's got 3 years off. So she's pocketing a bunch of money getting away from all the stuff. But yeah, I'll go look. I'd like to hear from her what she did from the book, whether she used all of it or part of it, or 600 miles. There's a old technology. We're kind of wondering why Elon's not doing it. I mean, they have a charging system sort of in the braking on the Tesla car, but there's another technology that could be used off the power of those tires spinning, that would spin free weight, that would also cause charge. We're wondering why he didn't use that technology. Old technology. It's from steam engine technology type stuff. But it's still a proven technology. It works. Um, I'm If money was never an issue, just like Elon Musk, if money was never an issue, I would love to create and build an RV using a lot of ideas and technologies that would never need fuel. It would charge itself, whether it sat in the wind, sat in the sunlight, or was running down the freeway, it would continually charge itself using all forms of technologies. Because, like, if you were to take, say, like an old VW bus, and use the technology, corkscrew technology. That's the only way I can describe it. It's magnets in a tube, and coils wired on the outside. And as the wind passes through the tube, um, the magnets spin. Um, they're also held in place with magnets and so there's no touching. All this. So as the car's rolling down the street at 25, 30 miles an hour, up to 70, whatever, this thing would be continually charging. Um, there's a bunch of neat stuff out there. Uh, yeah, yeah. As soon as he patents it, as soon as he turns in a patent, they'll buy the patent out. They'll make sure. They'll make sure. There's a clause in patents, um, surrendering to government as to its potentials. That's why the kid that invented the laser that works on a 9-volt battery disappeared. Um, him and his family overnight disappeared. Um, we won't go into that, but yeah, there's a whole lot of weirdness going on. A whole lot of weirdness. Um, Dr. Keshi. Oh God, KESSSHY or IE. I'm not sure how he spells it. He's sequestered. He's in hiding, but his institute is not. Um, and he has come up with some very, very interesting um, power generating equipment. Very interesting. His theories, um, just they still just blow me away. I love watching his stuff. He was going to produce free energy, and a week before the big announcement when he was going to be releasing the blueprints to the public, um, thank God they were ahead of it and had moved the entire family to another country. His residence was raided in the middle of the night. They broke in, smashed in the doors, um, and searched everywhere for this information. But him and the family were gone already. Um, but I'm sure they would have made him disappear. I'm sure. Oh yeah. Oh, of course he is. Oh yeah. Well, you heard the newest one, right? This one should turn up some very interesting, dangerous results. Uh, Russia is rebuilding Tesla's energy tower to um, start sending power across Russia um, without being plugged in anywhere. They're going to try. I'm sure. I'm sure that the powers that be uh, are not happy. But I got a feeling there's going to be a very weird, very weird result when they turn that thing on. If it's not turned on already, theoretically, a thing like that's an energy weapon that could be focused. A little manipulation, this way or that, and uh, we are seeing an awful lot of earthquakes. Awful lot of earthquakes all of a sudden. I don't think it's from fracking. Uh, I think we're going to see some really interesting stuff happen because of this. Um, it's like I constantly say we need to really look at all timelines at the same time. They want to talk about, and this will go a completely weird direction. I'm sorry, everybody, but they want to talk about religion, Buddha, Christ, uh, even the Indians here, Native Americans, um, speak of a leader. Um, but if you take all of them and you kind of put them all in a timeline, it's all kind of at the same time. It's just, is it coincidence? Is it's hard to narrow down. But to just take history and go, okay, well, the only history we're going to follow is that of Europe when there was stuff going on here. There was stuff going on in Japan. You got to take everything into the big picture at the same time around the planet because somebody's always manipulating something somewhere. So do you just, follow what the historians say? Well, this is the only history we're going to pay any attention to. This is the only one that counts. Well, if you look at medicines, that's exactly what we've done. Medicines are the European style only. We won't dare look at Chinese medicine, which has actually been in existence longer than regular medicine. Kind of, to just say that one doesn't exist, just say it. Meanwhile, there's an entire continent that's been thriving on it for 2,000 years longer. But because, the powers that be say it doesn't exist, it's like saying holistic medicines are absolutely out of the question. Oh, no, God, no, I could go all over the place with that. Morning, Mike. Great video. Great video. But there's two sitting there. I don't know which one you want me to run with. They're both kind of the same, but they're not. The audio track is there, but it's not. It's kind of but great videos, dude. Thanks for the shout out. And I'm over 400, or I'm at 400. I'm sorry. When I looked a little while ago, still stunned. I'm dead on 400. So I finally reached it, but and everybody that's here, I don't know if you are following this or not. Grizz is doing the Green Wizard Challenge, basically, if that's what I can call it. He's calling it something else. He's putting the book to the test on his channel. I know he just cleared property to put up a greenhouse. So he's kind of got a bunch of projects going on at once. I mean, he's only got so much time in the summer to do these things. But go over and check out his video. I've got it. I don't have it here yet because we got set back a little bit. with some puppy issues. But go check his channel. You're going to watch the progress of this system. And yeah, Elegant, I will go see what your daughter has done to her yard. I wish we had before pictures. That'd be cool. Make the comparison. But all right, we're closing in on an hour, and I'm kind of running out of steam here. But so unless somebody's got something, salicylic acid, everybody. Salicylic acid for your tomatoes. Be prepared for this heat to cause some issues. You may want to put your tomato plants in defensive mode before it happens. Salicylic acid. A little bit of aspirin. Just a little bit of aspirin. All right, Mike. But yeah, mist your tomatoes down in the evening with right on the tomato plant. I know I don't like watering the tomato plants, but water the soil instead. Salicylic acid. Just a little bit of aspirin, ground up aspirin. Yeah, I'm one of those views. I'm just not sure which one you wanted to use because one's put up 7 hours ago, the other one's 5 hours ago. Audio tracks are just a little different on each one. I'm not sure which one you wanted me to host over here. You want the oldest one? Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Anybody's welcome. If you're a creator and you want to do some sort of shout out video towards my channel, what have you, I will host it here and point it back to your channel to drive traffic to you. Because as I'm doing these radio shows and what have you, you might as well get on board because I'm sending people to both my webpage and to the YouTube channel. And anyone that comes in and views the YouTube channel is going to come across shout outs. They're going to come across this, that, or the other. The interviews, what have you. I'll create a whole different playlist of just people shouting out my channel, and it'll get view time for your channel because I'm going to point them back at your channel. And you could, hey, anything's possible. But every direction, especially when it comes to YouTube and growing your YouTube channel, you want to go every direction at the same time. I understand. And I'll gladly host your video here, shouting out the channel and point everybody back to your channel. And obviously showcase what you do while you're shouting out my channel with an audio track or whatever however you want to create it. And it'll point people right back to your channel. So as they're over here viewing stuff, heck, depending on what kind of creator you are, you could get hit up to do a job for somebody. You just never know. You never know. But you got to have all doors open at the same time. And I'll just host your video here with all directions pointed back at you. As the creator, as the channel to go see, as you're both talking about my channel, what I cover, what I talk about, and the book, and yourself and what you do on your channel. So it's a, think through your script or think through what you want to say and how you want to say it. Because, people are coming here to look at whatever driven from a radio interview or a podcast or some advertising I may do. They're going to hit the YouTube channel. They're going to look the whole channel over. They're going to look at every aspect of what I've got hosted here. You could be hit up for something else. You could pick up a new viewer. You could pick up thousands of new viewers as this book grows, as this thing pushes out there. So create, and let's see what happens. And let's open the door and help each other out. I've got to get 30,000 of these books sold, hopefully this year, and start making some differences. I know I'm only talking to a small group of people here, but there's that one person I'm going to hit that one person one day that's going to pop that lid open. You may want to be along for the ride. Hey, Mr. Johnny, what's going on, buddy? So, yeah, tidbit of the day, John. If you're into gardening and you got tomato plants, salicylic acid, especially during this heat wave, it's just ground up aspirin. Mist it on your plants at night. I only recommend twice a year, but yeah, put your plants in defensive mode. Get your tomatoes in defensive mode now with all this heat in place, because anything could happen, and you're better off to trick your tomato plants into thinking they're under attack. So mist it on the plant, just a little mister bottle. Um, that's my tip for the day. I think that's where I'm going to end this, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks everybody for stopping in. Thanks for the 400 subscribers. If you're new to the channel, hit that little button. Catch the bell. My live streams don't stay up very long because I don't want the channel known specifically for the live streams. But when you catch them, you never know what you may hear. You never know what I may be talking about or what all my friends have got to say and where I may come across an answer you may be looking for. So y'all have a great day. Y'all know where to find me. And again, everybody go check out Grizz's channel. The challenge is up. Elegant Homestead just posted a new video. Nighttime lighting on her channel. That nighttime lighting shows the end results of the Green Wizard's work on soil and on the yard that used to be burned up in Michigan. So go check out her video too. Everybody, we'll catch y'all later. You know where to find me. I'll be out there in the stream somewhere. Y'all have a great day.